This is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
Welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And here we are on this Memorial Day. Everybody just kind of chilling. Well, I can't say everybody. Some people had to work. Shout out to everybody that had to work. I understand, you got to make a living, got to make that dollar. But I'm glad you were taking time to join us today. And I'm joined by my co-host, J-Lo. How you doing, my brother?
Doing good, brother. How you doing, man? Happy Memorial Day to you.
Oh man, just enjoying the time off, man. To everybody getting a chance to check us out, I appreciate you taking time. You guys could definitely be doing a whole lot of other things, but you're here hanging out with us, chopping it up, talking about a little bit of football, man. And you know what? This holiday right here is very important to me because the next holiday is the 4th of July, and that just puts us that much closer to the NFL season. So I'm excited. I'm hyped. It feels right this season. I've enjoyed the off season. There were a lot of things that broke down, and the way the general manager and the front office handled everything in the off season, it didn't give Bucs fans a lot to gripe about, because people got signed in line and people got taken care of, and there are no real worries about salary cap and how are we going to sign our rookies? Everybody got signed quietly, slowly but surely. Everybody's been taken care of up to this point right now. And I think it's going to continue to happen. But for you, how's everything been progressing for you?
One day at a time, man. I mean, we're getting closer and closer. I know I've been watching some of the OTAs, kind of getting a feel for the rookies, with the veterans. We'll know a lot more when training camp comes up. I believe we still have 3 unsigned drafted players. I think Barton, Chris Braswell, and then I think McMillan's the last one we got to sign. The 3, yeah. At all the draft picks, I mean. But yeah, man, I'm just keeping up, waiting patiently, try to enjoy some of the summertime with the kiddos. And then when it's football team, it's go time.
You got that right, man. And the Bucs have their off season, and in the podcast world, we have our off season too, where we're trying to fine tune some things and figure out some things and get some things right going into the season. So I'm loving this right now, and like I said, I just like how the progression. There hasn't been any drama. It's just been slow but consistent progression, preparing us for the off season. And I kind of wanted to circle back. You had mentioned OTAs, and from everything that I'm hearing, man, the OTAs have been going pretty good. And in a realistic world, not everybody is going to show up and show out as far as draft picks go. But what Jason Light has been able to do is he's been able to get competition, he's been able to get depth, and he's been able to just continuously kind of work on that roster. And, having a great relationship with your head coach really leads to that happening. And just, a lot of the players that we've heard about, and shout out to Joshua Cole Allen. I'm sure that he's, hanging out with the family and doing his thing. But Joshua Cole Allen has done an amazing job, covering the Bucs, asking the questions that fans want to know about. That's like us here. I like talking to the listeners. Bud Cannabis, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you. My man Tones is in the house. Cleve and me, what's going on, fellas? So to me, I like where everything's going, man. And I'm really excited for that. And kind of circling back to what I was saying, I want to talk to the listeners, the people that are listening to me. I want to talk to you guys, because a lot of times I watch podcasts where they totally get ignored, and who cares what you're thinking, but I want to know what you guys are thinking. Put it in the chat. I'll get it out there, and make sure you get recognized for that. But I think that's an important part of your show. Being able to talk to the listeners and make them feel welcome, and they play a part in all this too.
No, I couldn't agree more, Gene. I feel having the listeners, throw their comments or questions. I love to hear from y'all guys.
The Stone Cold Stunner is in the house. What is going
Yay,
on, brother?
yay.
How are you doing, man?
Living it up, man. Memorial Day. Gotta salute for the soldiers.
I know that's right, man. Definitely for all you out here that have served. Thank you for your service. You're greatly appreciated. My homegirl Emily's serving. She's taking care of business as well. And shout out to all these. If you served, shout out to you. You're greatly appreciated. So how's life, man? I haven't heard from you for a minute.
Well, life's been pretty good, man. We got through. I've been doing spring football. We had our game on the 17th. We actually came away with a victory, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. And the one thing I say about you, Stunner, I like how you do it. You do it the right way, man. It's about respect. It's about playing the game the way it should be played. It's not about a brand. It's about going out there having fun. And a lot of that has gotten lost in the sauce as we've, as the game has evolved.
Yeah, I do 7-on-7 as well. A lot of that is about, if you watch like OT7 and stuff, they changing it into like celebration and trying to up top your play, your opponents and throw it in their face and stuff. And it's just, there's just not enough Barry Sanders types. Give the ball to the ref and act like you've been there type. Yeah. So there's a culture to football that you have to respect the game. And I just feel like not enough people are respecting the game these days. And whatever you do comes back to you. If people remember Tyreek Hill doing the peace sign and getting on the phone against us, and then we got our payback in the Super Bowl. So, whatever you do, it comes back to you. And you got to respect the game, respect the culture of football.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the first topic I kind of wanted to talk about, and I want, you guys have been Bucs fans for who knows how long, but does this season feel different where you're comfortable? I don't know about you guys, but last year was like I was indifferent because I didn't know what product the Buccaneers were going to put on the field. I knew that you brought back a lot of core pieces and this team could be a contender, but we didn't know anything. The unknown was the quarterback. The other unknown was, what's the defense going to look like and what's Todd Bowles going to do? But I think a lot of those questions got answered, going into the playoffs. So coming into this season, you've got the core pieces of your team in place, and you can sprinkle in some free agents and some rookies and put out a competitive product. So going into camp, I'm really excited about it and, comfortable with where this team is. And Stunner, I wanted to get your thoughts. Does this season feel like seasons in the past, or how do you feel about where the Bucs are going into camp and going into summer before it all starts to get serious?
Unfortunately, it feels like 1998. We made the playoffs in 97, and I think we got a little comfortable. Although our team is way better than that 98 squad. We had to depend on people like Jackass Green and stuff in that season. But, I feel like we're probably the best offensively we've been in a long time, especially with the upgrades on the O-line, etc. But, we got rid of Carlton Davis. We really didn't draft a cornerback unless the kid from Georgia is going to play corner. Mm-hmm. But, I'm a big guy that believes defense wins championships. And I believe our defense is kind of wait and see. I hope that the edge we drafted from Alabama can produce, because we really haven't had the production there that we've, the Super Bowl season, of course, with Shaq Barrett, etc. So it kind of feels a little bit like 98, where we feel like we were a playoff team and then we kind of fell short. And I hope that doesn't happen. I do feel a lot better about our coaching staff on the offensive side as well. Yeah. I think that we have some proven commodities there. And like I've always said, I'm a Todd Bowles fan, so I think that he'll put us in the best situation to win. I just, like the 2000, 2001 seasons where we knew we were going to make the wild card, but really we should be competing for the top of the NFC. And what I've been looking to do is to try to see what we can do to separate the distance between us and the 49ers.
Yeah.
and that's what I hope that we can do this season.
Yeah, definitely. Emily, what's going on? You're still soft, but it's been crazy, man. And I'm right there with you. There are some unproven commodities out there, and I honestly believe that with Todd Bowles in his defensive mind, I think that he can get the best out of a lot of these players. There have been some players, Logan Halls, your Joe Tryon Shranka, and players that didn't quite measure up to where we thought they would be. And you never know. I mean, there's still time for them to where they could, possibly turn it around. But it just, like you said, it remains to be seen. But just for me, in what they have right now, I really believe that they're in a good position. You kind of know what you have from your core. It's just a matter of seeing them put it all together on the field. J-Lo, your thoughts?
I must say, for this offseason from last, I'm pretty more comfortable for the most part, even from the 22 offseason, because obviously Brady was back and forth, if he was going to come, stay retired or come out of retirement. And then last year's offseason, not knowing what we have at quarterback when we have the QB competition. But I definitely like our chances. I mean, I think we're going to make a stronger run, I feel like, because of the depth pieces we added. We had so many injuries last year in the DB room, pretty much everywhere in the defense. So now you go and you add some cornerback depth, safety depth, and Jason Light and, his staff has done a great job, doing that, recognizing how bad we were hurt last year. So
Yeah.
I'm all for this season. I think we're going to surprise a lot of teams this year. Some of the teams that are favored to beat the crap out of us, which is fine. I like playing the underdog role. Everyone's talking about wonderful Atlanta. Oh, yeah, Atlanta's going to win the division. It's all I've seen is Atlanta getting the 4th seed, winning the division, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. They can enjoy that hype. Go ahead. At the end of the day, I still feel that we're the best team in our division by last year's performance, and I just feel with the additions and the role players we've added, even with the draft picks, I feel this team has gotten probably 5 times better than they were last year. On my opinion.
Absolutely. Krillin, what's going on? Thank you, Krillin, for jumping in. Bud Calbus, thank you so much. Emily, as always, thank you, and thank you for your service. Thank you guys for coming on. I was going to ask this question later on, but since we're right here, and I'm going to lead this off. The blatant disrespect the Buccaneers have received, NFC South champions. They progressed in the playoffs. I feel like the offensive coordinator, some of the play calling could have been better. You have a rookie offensive coordinator that's leading your offense, and there are missed opportunities there. But I feel like this year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are blatantly being disrespected. Everybody's looking at Atlanta. Everybody's looking at the moves that the New Orleans Saints have made. Everybody's looking at the moves that the Carolina Panthers have made to bolster their defenses and get their quarterbacks allegedly the help they need. But it kind of goes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have the same coaching staff. You've got your quarterback returning. Your defense, it looks pretty similar, and I think they may have upgraded with the departure of Devin White, who just was not the Devin White of 2020. So to me, I think you've upgraded in certain positions. And as Stunna mentioned, great point, Stunna, when you were talking about this rookie coming in, you get a rookie edge rusher coming in. If he can come in and be that disruptive force, and injuries are going to be a huge factor as well. If the Bucs defense can stay healthy, they can stay consistent. And if you're getting home with 4 and you're putting pressure on the quarterback, that really helps out your linebacker core and your secondary. So it all kind of works in tandem. And I really believe that the Bucs have the pieces in place to do that.
Well, I feel like, the draft really favors our offense. The players we got, the Bucky, the running back we got, the offensive, the 2 offensive linemen we got, especially the late rounder kid we got from UTEP. I feel like that's really going to improve our offense the most. Now, the offseason move that obviously I was most excited about was Jordan Whitehead, and giving us those safety tandem that we had from the Super Bowl. As far as the respect factor, you got to understand that respect comes from a national perspective. And, we've always talked about Madden, et cetera, and how our players always get disrespected on Madden because nationally we don't, the people don't look at Florida or the South or Tampa as, a legitimate destination for football. You look at Mike Evans, a clear-cut Hall of Fame receiver, never got the respect he needed, and I'm sure he felt like he needed to do free agency stuff to get that. But his wife, being the Buccaneers supporter she is like, we don't need the national perspective. We just need to go get another ring.
Yeah.
Now, Baker Mayfield,
Levante David,
a clear-cut Hall of Famer kid. He's clearly better than his counterpart that's washed already in Seattle. Clearly better than Luke Kuechly, who he was drafted with. Yeah. That's even out of the league. But he still doesn't get the respect. Why doesn't he get the respect? Because he plays for the Buccaneers. We're a minor market team. And we get, not only do we get like slept on, we kind of get dust thrown on us, because there's so much hatred for the Buccaneers and that we're in Florida. People from outside Florida, you don't really understand it. I mean, you and I understand it because we left Florida, but people from here don't really understand it. People be hating on Florida. Yeah. And then they talk about like Florida Man and stuff. Most of those people that are in those Florida Man videos are people from Michigan or New York or Ohio that have moved here. Okay. Yes. We can't control who we can't put a border wall up. We can't control who comes in and out of this state. Okay. So it's not like we can control these maniacs that move to our state, but that's just proof that everyone wants to live here. And so Baker's still getting slept on, even though he was the Pro Bowl MVP. It's like we can't do enough. So what we have to do is you have to win games.
Yeah.
And we even last year we had a soft spot on our schedule where we kind of fell down, but then we picked it back up at the end. Yeah. We had to beat Detroit. We had to beat San Francisco. We had to go on and win the Super Bowl because that's really the only thing to get us respect.
Right.
And you mentioned injuries. Injuries is always a factor. When we lost Chris Godwin that year to the cheap shot from the Saints, it derailed our season. So injuries can always derail any season.
Yeah. Look at Kalijah Cansey. Could you imagine where Kalijah Cansey would be right now if he played the full season?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, yes. Every time we draft a defensive tackle, they always have an injury in training camp. I don't know if you ever noticed that also.
Yeah, Vito was
hurt. Lancey was hurt. Hall hurt somebody. It's just crazy. But we just have to earn respect the old-fashioned way, which is winning games. Mm-hmm. We have a team in place. Atlanta's the legitimate opponent. I mean, we have players. They got Coach Raw here, the ultimate player hater who likes to play dirty against us. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. It's a long season. It's a marathon. As long as we end up improving at the end, you don't want to peak too early. You want to improve as the season goes on. As long as we do our job and our guys move on, our offense should really be the focal. And even our Super Bowl, it was the offense. If you're a Buccaneer fan, you see defense winning. But we're really set up for the offense to carry us more than the defense. Yeah. With our receiving core and our running back tandem, and the only thing I really think we didn't hit is a tight end. Our offensive line is going to be much improved. We drafted 2 starters out of the draft. I mean, it's right there for us, but we have to.
Stunner, real quick question, and J-Lo, I'm going to get to you in just a minute. I ain't forgot you, man. Stunner, when you look at this new offensive coordinator, and you look at his experience, and you look at his time around the league, would you consider that an upgrade, that we brought in an upgrade over Dave Canales and what Dave Canales was doing on that, doing for the offense? Do you think that where we are right now, we've upgraded and we have more real-time experience under that offensive coordinator position? Is that a plus or a minus there?
I think it's a plus. If you remember, Dave Canales was brought in because of what he did with Geno Smith.
Right.
But if you look, Geno Smith had a he kind of peaked and then he kind of fell off.
Right.
All right, Dave Canales is known for wide zone and running the football and bootlegs.
Mm-hmm.
The guy we got now is known for the air raid, okay, which was popular with Cliff Cleesbury. And if anyone don't know the air raid, the idea of the air raid is you hit the third level, you're attacking the deep safeties, okay, you're attacking the deep portions of the defense. So where we're going to lose is the ability to run the football. But where we're going to gain is the explosive down the field stuff that we were used to under Bruce Arians. So, and we're still built for that kind of offense because we wanted with Bruce Arians, we have the same players, obviously minus the tight end position that could really hit those down the field throws. And I'm a Payne Durham guy. And I'd like to see him develop and get more shot this year.
Do you think? And since we're on the subject of the tight end, do you think that the tight ends that the Bucs currently have in camp can be schemed into where they can be used under this new offensive coordinator? Do you think because I wonder if it was a mismatch with the tight ends that the Bucs had versus the offensive coordinator and how they were being utilized. I know that some of these tight ends were underutilized under Lord Byron, but coming in with Canales just I don't think he knew how to really utilize the tight end position. And is it possible with this new offensive coordinator that there may be some players that are on this roster that can turn around and make some plays that can help this team win?
Absolutely. So the new offensive coordinator, like I said, if you watch Kentucky, they're gonna use those tight ends down the seam. He's gonna use those tight ends on breaking and flat routes as well. So Cade Otton was our starter. He's a decent talent. He needs to improve his hands. He had too many drops in my opinion, but in addition to him, we need to spread the ball around. The best offenses has balance.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to have Mike Evans getting 13 catches a game. You want Mike Evans with his 5 to 6 and everyone else getting, spread those 13 catches throughout the other receivers.
Yeah, definitely.
And that makes you more dynamic as you get in the playoffs. What they always said, like the New England guy, he would take away your best player. Well, go ahead and take him away. We're going to spread the ball out. What I mean?
Belichick,
right? So that's not really a hindrance if you are balanced. All right, if you can run and throw the ball effectively, and that's one thing Byron never had was balance.
Yeah.
Byron had a lot of issues. Our offense was really bad. I mean, it was predictable. Yeah. We couldn't score. We couldn't move the ball. I mean, we had all kind of problems.
Yeah, you notice he's still not in the league, so there's that. But yeah.
Well, he didn't even get the he kind of messed himself up because he had a shot at Marshall. Okay, but he tried to stay in the league.
Yeah.
All right. He could have got the job at Marshall. It's still been a head coach. It's still been coaching, period.
Yeah.
But he kind of, let his ego. Well, I'm getting these head coaching interviews. Well, who cares about an interview if you don't get hired?
Exactly.
They have to interview a certain amount of people anyway. I got plenty of head coaching interviews. Don't mean I got no jobs.
Exactly.
All right. So that doesn't really. I mean, that's overrated. Getting an interview.
Hey, let me get J-Lo in here too. J-Lo, what are your thoughts on the conversation we're having right now?
Well, also Byron Leftwich almost got the head coaching job at Jacksonville for the Jaguars, but like you said, his ego got to his head. He wanted a general manager of his own choosing, and Jacksonville told him no. We're gonna stick with the guy we got. So guess what? Byron did Byron. He messed up our offense. He missed out on a head coaching job, which I'm pretty sure Jacksonville's pretty thankful they didn't hire him after all, because now the guy can't even get a damn job. He can't even get a high school coaching job. That's how bad he is.
It is what it is.
I want to add to Cade on one more thing. I think I'm more concerned about his blocking. I think he needs to bulk up and become a better blocking tight end as well, because I think he's a good catching tight end, but I think he needs to bulk up and block better when it comes to running the football so we can create play action plays and get the ball moving down the field.
Now, do you think that as far as blocking goes, do you see him or Cokeith as a better blocking tight end?
Me, I see neither. I don't, I think that's where all of our tight ends are kind of
O'Keefe,
deficient in one or two
obviously.
areas.
What were you gonna say, Jello?
Go ahead, J-Lo. I'm sorry. I thought you
I
was talking to
think
me.
O'Keefe is probably the better. Well, no, I'm saying I think O'Keefe is the better blocking tight end. As of, no, you're good, Stoner. It's good to hear from you, by the way. But I was just saying I
Thanks, buddy.
think O'Keefe is probably the better blocking tight end out of the 3 to 4 we have on the roster. I think Kadon can get better at it if he bolts up a little bit more. Payne Durham, I think we'll figure season because I think we're going to see him on the field a lot more, especially in the red zone. Because, like I mentioned last offseason when we drafted him,
You're cutting in and out, J-Lo.
when it comes to getting touchdowns. So that's what I'm looking forward to for Payne Durham. And you can never have enough depth at tight end drafting the kid from Washington who I feel is probably going to make the roster.
Yeah, there's going to be serious tight end competition to get the best player on the field, and don't get it twisted. I think whoever is on this roster at the end of the day will get playing time throughout this 17 game season. So it's going to happen. I want to shout out Will the Brewer. Will, we are doing the beer draft. So any beers that you could suggest that we can get all over the country, that we can add to this roster, we would greatly appreciate it, man. Your wisdom is always appreciated when it comes to beer. But getting back to this, when we're looking at what's going to happen here in camp, I know that there's going to be tight end competition. Probably the third wide receiver. Would you guys say third wide receiver competition for that position as well?
Yeah, the third wide receiver, I don't know. I think it's going to be the guy they drafted, and then your fourth wide receiver is Palmer from last season. I think 1 through 4 is pretty solid. I think wide receiver 5 is probably where you're going to see competition.
Okay. So outside of that, where else would you see competition? Linebacker, maybe?
Definitely offensive line. I mean, we drafted those 2 guys to come in and take jobs. Linebacker, to me, I think Cervasia and the kid from Auburn are going to be competing for the will linebacker, the second inside linebacker spot. I think you got to at least start the kid from Alabama at the 1 edge position. And then, of course, Yaya gets the other one. I would say Yaya is probably our best outside backer.
Yeah, I think I definitely believe he gets he's the guy that you got to – I think that coordinators are going to have to scheme for him because he's going to be a problem. He's definitely going to be a problem.
Absolutely. He's probably the best edge rusher we've had since Shaq Barrett or,
he's a playmaker. He's always around the ball. You got to love that.
JPP is what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So definitely, I mean, basically our defense, I'm most concerned with losing. I don't really think we replace Carlton Davis. So maybe if there's somebody in June, like somebody gets cut because of salary, you try to bring in a veteran corner. But I'm not a fan of McCollum. He kind of got exposed against Detroit in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jamil Dean. I think when he went down against Detroit kind of hurt us. That kind of
definitely.
But I love our safeties now. I mean, I definitely, Jordan Whitehead's definitely an upgrade to who the other safety was last year. I think we're pretty solid inside. And I don't know who our third tackle's going to be. That's the question. I don't know if Hall's going to do that, but I do like Will Goldston.
I'm glad the Bucs brought him back. And you mentioned Logan Hall. I've, personally have not been a fan of his.
Right.
But
He's definitely underachieving.
yeah, definitely. So, again, it's does he have to get in the film room? Because I think he's got the physical tools to be a dominant player, but he just gets lost in the sauce, man. And I've seen him look like a washing machine where they've had him all spun around. And there was one time they spun him around and he spun right into a tackle. And I just watched it. I had to rewind it and watch it again. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But Logan Hall has been one of those guys. I've just not been a fan of that draft pick. But again, what do I know? I'm not a general manager, so I'm just a fan of the game, and I enjoy the game.
He was probably, for when I think we traded back, and I think he probably was the best available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's just kind of light in the ass. And so he's kind of a tweener, Can he play inside? He's kind of light. Can he play outside? He's kind of too slow to play there. So he's kind of like lost in the sauce, like you said.
Yeah. J-Lo, glad you're back, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Sorry about that.
Oh no, man, you're fine. This is the adventures of going live, man. You gotta appreciate this stuff when it happens. Bud Campbell has brought up Randy Gregory, guys. And he's somebody I keep forgetting about, that the Bucs brought him in. And I know he's kind of on the back end of his career. What do you guys think about his contribution to this defensive line?
I'm sorry, who was that again? You mentioned
Randy Gregory.
Yeah, Randy Gregory. Like I mentioned before, I see him, starting off as a starter because of his continuity with the linebackers coach, George Edwards. Because I see Chris Braswell stepping up to the plate and probably would take over his job, and Randy Gregory will become a role player, like a third down pass rusher to possibly get out to the quarterback. At this point in his career, I see him getting more pressures and sacks, I feel. And that's what we need to do to get to the quarterback and create more pressure and get turnovers. That way we can take over a football game and build these boys' confidence up.
Exactly. Yeah, because getting home with 4 is the key this season. Get home with 4. And that opens up the rest of your defense to do a whole lot more damage, and just give offensive coordinators problems just by being able to do that.
One more thing, Gene. Hey, Stunna, can you mute your microphone when you're not talking? Because I'm hearing a lot of background noises. That's a little bit better. Okay. Sorry about that, Gene. Sorry to interrupt you. There was a lot of background noises going on.
Oh, no. You're fine. Another guy that we haven't really talked a whole lot about is KJ Britt. And how do you feel like
I was talking about him? I just forgot the name. That's why I said Servassier was competing with.
So what are your thoughts on KJ Britt? While we're talking about the defense.
I think he's a solid player. I liked him and Servassier in the middle. I never felt like we were going to miss Devin White when he left, and then when we re-signed Levante, it just made it all that much better. So I really like our inside backers. I really like us in a lot of areas. I think we're weak at cornerback 2. I think we're weak at defensive tackle 3, and we have a question mark over outside linebacker 2. Other than that, I really like our defense.
Well, that's that, and again, that gives you hope going into the season. I know we talk about injury, but you have a very competent defense, and if everybody's doing their job, this defense rolls. And we saw that last year when Devin White was out, and you saw these other linebackers coming in and playing competent, playing strong, and playing fast. They were able to make plays. I mean, you don't have to be on ESPN every single night. As long as you're playing competent, as long as you're doing your job, you're helping this team, and you're not putting this team at risk. And there have been so many times where we've seen where Devin White has been a liability. And this is going to be one of those things where I'm going to be curious to see how he plays in Philadelphia and how well they utilize him, and can he revitalize his career and do something there? There's a lot of expectations on him in Philly. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out as well.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, by the way, Gene. I feel in Philly, they're probably going to use him more as a blitzing linebacker. That was probably his best trait here in Tampa was blitzing, getting after the quarterback, creating more pressure. And remember, he's got competition. I mean, he's got to compete against the Kobe Dean, who I think is a very talented linebacker
Younger.
who can probably beat him out. And then they got a couple other guys, too. So Devin White's going to have to step up or get off the pot. But back to KJ Britt, I feel like if he stays healthy, I feel he's going to be a good role player, like a Sean Quarles type player who's going to do his job and help get the defense off the field on third down so we're not gassed out. So KJ Britt, if he stays healthy, I like him as a starter. If not, Nets man up. You got, JJ Russell who can step in there. I think he do the same
Yeah.
thing. And then you got Savasi Dennis who didn't get to play on that side at linebacker. He was behind Levante David. So that's another name to throw out there.
And he was injured a lot to where we really you just got a sample size of him. You didn't really get to see what he's capable of doing because he was kind of nicked up last year.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has some injuries, but I think now he's in year 2. He's probably working on maybe some techniques, probably some other ways of trying to avoid injury so he can be out there on the field and show his talents. I mean, that's what happened to Zion McCollum last year and during his rookie year. He was hurt the first couple 2 or 3 games, so we really didn't know what we had in him. And then next minute, the guy just came in, stepped in, and played pretty decent. I'm not saying he was all pro level, but he played good filling in for our 200 corners. So that's how I feel about Savasi Dennis compared to Zion McCollum. Rookie year, he had injury prone season, but I feel he could be another name to watch if KJ Britt, can't be the guy, which I feel he will be, on my
Yeah.
opinion.
And guys, if it's me right now and somebody said, "Are you comfortable with the Bucs defense as it is right now?" I would say yes. And the only reason I would say that right now is Todd Bowles has been very underrated in what he's done with this defense. I know there have been some plays where you're just like, "Wow, what's going on?" But had it been better executed, I think there are some plays that we would be praising Todd Bowles for, but it just, they just weren't executed like they were supposed to be. So I think with the level of talent that he has, Vita Vea working on his body, I think somebody mentioned that in the chat. They want to see the new Vita Vea, that little slim down, the more muscular Vita Vea. And then, Kalijah Cansey is a guy that I've got my eye on, going into the season, just because I want to see, does he take that next leap? Yaya Diaby, somebody else. I want to see, does he take that next leap? Is this a guy where you're going to hear his name all the time? I mean, does Antoine Winfield Jr., he's got this big contract. Does he come in and ball out? I mean, and he's one of the rare birds, kind of like what Stunner was talking about. Father played in the NFL. His mindset isn't about the Winfield brand. His mind is about, hey, I got to get to the ball. I got to be around the ball. And just the throwback to the 2000s, the 90s, that type of player who came in and, he does his job and he's got a high football IQ. And, when you look across this team, you look across this roster, how many players have that high football IQ? Levante David. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield can read a defense and it goes under the radar because of, all the stuff that's happened to him in the past. But where he's had time to get in, you saw it last year. I saw plays where I'm like, wait a minute, he just read that defense and he switched some stuff out and he did some different things. And, again, I think of the offensive line, because of the way the offensive line was with the departure, you lose a Ryan Jensen, you lose a Ali Marpet, and, players like that have been staples, for this team. It's kind of hard to keep him upright at times because he was just, forever getting just harassed and hounded.
And then you don't send off our best guard to the Texans.
Yeah, exactly. The great point. So again, Baker Mayfield coming in, underrated. a lot of these players that they're able to read defenses, they're read offenses. They're able to understand this, understand the game on a like on a teacher level, not just a player level. Real quick, Emily, thank you for checking us out. Greatly appreciated. She's being called duty calls. You got to do what you do. Thank you for your service, Emily. Greatly appreciated. It looks like Tones is wanting to add Miller Genuine Draft to the beer draft. So let me drop that in there. That's going to be Tones. Stunner, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. What were you saying, though?
No,
I was just talking about line woes, and then we sent the offensive guard that we traded for from New England that was in our Super Bowl. We shipped him off. That really didn't make any sense.
No. Shaq Mason?
Shaq Mason, yes, sir. So you ship him off. It makes no sense to get rid of a guy like that, and then it pisses off our team. And then we play the Texans later last year, and he's a factor in the game.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just you make this offseason would make sense to do that after we drafted a center and a guard, but last year didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. But again, these are you kind of live and learn, man. And again, like you've been talking about the offensive line, and I'm very confident in the offensive line going into this season as well. And there will be competition in certain spots, and I think it's gonna help the team. Shout out to Dub. Thank you for taking time to check us out. Greatly appreciated. J-Lo, what are your thoughts on the offensive line?
I feel like it's going to be probably a lot better than it has been the last couple of years, couple seasons, because after Ryan Jensen went down, Ali Marpet retired, Jason Light really had to go to work to replace those guys, and it's very difficult to do. And like trade for Shaq Mason, then we ship him out last year. It was kind of a cap casualty, and unfortunately for him. But however, Jason Light learns from his mistakes. So what does he do? He goes out there and drafts a Grant Barton at center who can play guard if it doesn't work out at center. And then he drafted Klein later on in the rounds. So I think Light has gotten this offensive line where it needs to be at this point in time. So, it's gonna be interesting. And with Liam Cohen taking over, I'm curious to see how he's gonna get the run game going with that offensive line we got going on.
Yeah. And do you feel like, with some of the players that were like Chase Edmonds came back and, you got a healthy Chase Edmonds, does that help this running game? Bucky, what is the rookie's name?
Bucky
Irvin. Does he help put this team on the right track? I mean, there's so many unknowns. And I kind of go back to the offensive coordinator. I felt like there were the situational football wasn't there, like we've seen like with the Bruce Arians, where you call a run play here, or just as the game is flowing, you go away from something good and go to something else. And I really felt like the offensive coordinator last year kind of did a disservice to the run game at times. And honestly, I believe that Rachaad White should have been over 1,000 yards last year. There's no reason he shouldn't have been. But again, it comes back to play calling, decision making. There's a lot of things that factor into it, but he should have been 1,000 yards.
No, I agree. I mean, it's hard. Rachaad White, I feel, is very underrated, and I feel like he could be a 1,000-yard rusher, or even more than that. I mean, if you look at the all-purpose yards, he was well over 1,000 yards. He made plays.
Definitely.
And plus, Chase Edmonds, if he can stay healthy, I think he can help out a lot in the running back group. But Bucky Irving, this kid, I feel, is going to be amazing. Whether he gets in early in the season or whether he plays in mid-season. So I'll be interested to see how that goes as far as Bucky Irving and Chase Edmonds goes. Helping out Rachaad White, because White, he carried a lot last year. He helped carry that team a lot on the offense side of the ball, but now he's got a couple of guys in there that can probably help contribute and give him, a little water break here and there. Because let me tell you, he carried a lot, and a lot of
Yeah.
fans have been appreciative of that. And the rest of the NFL, like I said, they don't love us, and that's fine. But Rashad White, he's going to keep the train going, and I feel like he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year at least.
You know what? I'm going to go a step further, J-Lo. I love being underrated. I love being disrespected. I love it because it lowers the expectations. And the Bucs can go in and just play their game because nobody's expecting anything from them. And we saw that last year. And I honestly don't believe the Bucs are going to have a break where they just lost all these games in a row. I don't foresee that happening. I think you've got competent play calling. I think, in the linebacker position, you've got guys that play a little bit smarter, do their own job, and, don't go rogue like, kind of what we saw last year. And, again, I think there are some guys that have to prove themselves, but I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a great place. They will be able to stop the run. And, if they can get pressure on the quarterback, it bodes well for that defense.
No, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I feel that the defense is going to be a lot better. The offense is going to be a lot better. Hell, I even think Todd Bowles is going to be a lot better. Utilizing his timeouts hopefully at the right time. Because during the season he struggled doing that. I feel like he kept saving his timeouts, and like you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I'm like, man, he's got more. He thinks the timeouts carry over to the next game. What the hell is this guy doing?
I know. And Todd Bowles, I love the man. I feel like he's going to be much better this season. I think he's gaining more confidence, coaching as the season goes on. When you're taking over a team in 2022 with in doubt if Brady was going to come back or not, I felt like he really didn't have much control.
Yeah.
But now I feel like he's gaining more control this offseason, and Light's setting him up, to be successful on bringing in the right players that he can coach.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to my man, Peter Blake. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. And this jabroni's going through it. He's going through a table. I'm telling you right now. This guy right here, Peter Blake, know your role and shut your damn mouth and just watch the show.
My man.
Yeah, he is great. If you guys get a chance to check out the Sports Web, Peter Blake's been grinding for years, man. And I tell you what, he does an amazing job. And, I'm just happy to be a friend of his. And I'm happy that, when we get time, we get to communicate with each other and, we stay in touch and, great impact, man. I just love what he does for the Bay Area. And he actually worked with Stunna on the 7-on-7, did an amazing job, covering that. And hopefully, Peter Blake and Stunna can get together for some more 7-on-7s. Putting these kids on the map and giving them a chance to get interviewed. And, it was really great for, it was great for football.
Can I jump in with that, Gene?
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically what Peter Blake did was he set the trend, because I don't know if you noticed that the OT7 has been on NFL Network, and a lot of what they're doing is interviewing the kids and the stuff that Peter Blake actually started when he came out to our tournament. And one of the teams that he interviewed, the Gridiron Stars, was actually in OT7 in Orlando.
Really?
So, yeah. So he and if you remember, you and me talking about live streaming the event, showing the 7-on-7 like it's a sporting event. Because as a football fan, I'd rather watch 7-on-7 football than a basketball or a hockey game.
Yeah, me too.
So if you've been watching, that's exactly what the OT7 has been doing with overtime. So basically, what we proposed, and actually, what Peter Blake did by interviewing those kids. If you watch now, the OT7 used to just be live streaming with like color commentating stuff. Now they're bringing the kids in and interviewing them. So of course they'll never admit it that they stole that from Peter Blake, but he definitely is a trendsetter, because if you go to overtime, or if you're on Instagram, if you see what the OT7's doing now, they're doing a lot of the stuff that Peter Blake and I did with the Elite Sevens in St. Pete.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, this is And like he said, the evolution of sports, man. And he's a guy that he's about the Bay, man. And you have some people that either they're in Florida, they come to Florida, they really aren't invested. But I can tell you, this guy is definitely invested. I mean, when I think about Tampa, when I think about St. Pete, Clearwater, I think of you guys like Houston, old school. My man Peter Blake, just how they really embrace the cities, and they do their best. So greatly appreciated. And he said that he will be out there again, man. It was a good look. It really was. And it was so cool to see some of these kids. And, they weren't expecting to be interviewed. They weren't expecting to get to sit down and, get questions asked and stuff like that, man. And it was just a lot of fun. I think I enjoyed it as much as the kids did.
I'm telling you, man, today's athletes are way more comfortable in a multimedia media type atmosphere than you or I or even what we dealt with, when we used to get interviewed, or when we saw interviews from the early 2000s, 90s, people were nervous. People didn't really speak with confidence. Now it's like second nature to them. They can get on there. They can be completely confident. They can answer every question. They're way more mannered. They're way more, subdued and drawn out and able to get through these interviews than we were in our era. So the multimedia has definitely been something that's affecting today's athlete. And like I said, a lot of that can be positive, but some of that can be negative, where they try to showboat or up or out perform, like show up their opponents and stuff, and that's the stuff I don't like. But other than that, it's very positive, and really today is more about elite athletes. There's more elite athletes now than there ever was, but there's less average athletes.
Yeah, well, Florida is a hotbed for football talent, man. I mean, from Miami on up, there's just a lot of talent, and especially in the Bay Area as well, so. It's exciting to get to see some of those kids out there doing their thing. And again, thanks for bringing that up. And I just wanted to see, what do you have going on? As we get into the summertime, do you have any tournaments going on or anything exciting that that you can kind of bring up or you're preparing for, or any 7-on-7s?
Well, this weekend was the Cam Newton National Championship in Atlanta. And there's really not, because we had at the beginning of May, we had Elite Sevens come out, and a lot of the programs shut down because May is spring football in Florida.
Yes.
With a high school. Now that doesn't affect under 14, under 12, under 10, under 9, etc. But they use it as an excuse to shut down operations. So basically, May is spring football. June and July, the little leagues are starting up. So you got little league kids coming out. They're going to start practicing soon. So what we do at the high school level is more of a camp series. You do a lot of camps. And camps is really fundamentals, and that's also how you get noticed.
Yeah.
Okay. The way you get a scholarship is a camp series. You got to do the rivals. You got to do the Under Armour, the show, the opening, stuff like that. And those are all going on during the summer. And then we get right into the fall season where we're in contact football. So it's summertime. It's all about camp series. There are some 7-on tournaments, but they're mostly your high school teams. And that's where your high school teams are putting in their scheme, getting ready for, the competition as far as getting ready for the fall season. And it's less elite, which is like OT7 is like elite, which elite just means a bunch of kids from different schools making one team.
Yeah.
Okay. There's less of that happens in the summer and more camp series stuff.
Yeah, and I think the camp series stuff is very vital because if you are able to make big plays off of vanilla play calling, no exotic schemes or anything like that, and you're able to stand out just on vanilla plays, I think that puts you in a different bracket than your average kid who's going out and just barely making plays. But again, you understand the game more, and you just kind of put yourself in a better position. There are some people that are just athletically inclined, and then there are other people that they just know what they've been coached to do. So it's exciting to see that.
Elite is actually better for recruitment because, like you said, if I watch you on film, you might have a souped up team versus a bunch of chumps, and making plays really don't mean nothing. But Elite is talent on talent, and a lot of these camps is one on one. There's nobody else but you and the defender.
Yeah.
So it's really about your skill level, your ball skills. Your commitment to the game is really magnified. Yeah, in the camp series or in the elite environment.
Yeah, definitely. So, man, I got to get out for one of those, man. Definitely going to do that. J-Lo, we ain't forgot about you, man. Thank you for coming on as well. Anything exciting, new and exciting coming up for you this week?
Nothing too much. Just pretty much gonna be working some overtime. Try to save up my bingo chips because my goal is to hit a Bucs away game. So, working on my bingo chips and try to, have a little fun this summer with the kiddos. Keep them busy and all that. Once football season's here, that's it, man.
Yeah,
it's full
it's
gear.
on.
Don't stop at me.
Yeah, definitely, and that's kind of where I'm at, man. And I've been kind of thinking about putting together some kind of off-season cookbook, man. Because me, recently I just started working out again, and I'm trying to drop weight now, man. I didn't realize just how I had ballooned up to where I have, and finally hit me, man. I'm like, man, I'm not taking care of myself. I got to do better health wise, and so I've just kind of slowed down on eating, and I'm not doing all the crazy stuff I've been doing, man. Drinking a lot more water, and I've tried to put on at least 3-4 miles a day. Just exercise and just getting out there and just doing better than what I have been doing because I just hadn't been doing anything. So again, if I can do it, anybody can do it because I'm probably the laziest person in the universe, to be honest. But again, I just I think that if you get a chance, get out and walk for a little bit or just get some fresh air. I think it helps, man, and it helps you mentally, and it just helps all the way around. So for me, that's kind of been where I've been working at. And then, I can go back to eating and drinking beer when the season gets here.
That's the way to do it, Gene. Like I said, man, don't give up. Just put that work in. Trust me, take care of your body and your body will take care of you, man. That's my biggest advice to anybody, because I've been up and down in weight loss. I lose, I gain, I lose, I gain. And dieting is hard, so I try to be creative and watch YouTube videos on how to make, lower carb stuff. Cause that's the way I do it, it works for me. And it gets fun, it's far, when you mention recipe book, there's so many things you could do with that, man. You just got to put the effort to do it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And again, it's always fun, but I think you have to have balance. And I think that's what I've been missing is the balance where, I may eat or I may drink here, but I need to get out and exercise. I may need to make sure that I'm not doing this on a daily basis, but I'm just kind of taking better care of myself. So again, it's just one of those things. And, you just kind of have to keep doing that day by day. MK, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And El Gato 813, how you doing? Again, guys, this is going to be a fun season. I want to see everybody here for it, and just kind of getting ready for football. I know Stunna's going to be a busy man. Getting ready in the off-season workouts and stuff like that. And pretty soon as we get closer and closer, and pretty soon it'll be the end of July before you know it, and then the next thing you know, we've got preseason, and then the season's here again, and then poof, the season's gone. So enjoy this time. It's a fun time to be a Bucs fan. We all know we've all been through the bad times where the Bucs were not good. The Bucs general manager was not good, and they were bringing in bums, and they were shipping in bums and getting them out, and it's just good to have a solid team where the general manager has to worry about bringing players back in that he's drafted. And that's where you build that great foundation and you have a competitive team. So I'm super hyped about it. And that's pretty much where we are, And next show, guys, I promise you, I will have the phone lines open because I need to hear from you. I mean, I've had the phone lines open once. Nobody called in, but next week or probably Thursday maybe, which we'll see. We'll figure it all out. But I do want to get the phone lines open because I do want to hear from you guys. And I think that it makes the show a whole lot more fun. Excuse me. It makes the show a whole lot more fun. And, just getting your impact, your input on everything. So greatly appreciate that. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Bud Cannibalist says 11 wins, no excuses. What do you guys think? That's pretty dope.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, 11 wins. Why not? I think they can do it.
Yeah, definitely.
11 wins would put him in the top coaching echelons of Buccaneer history. We're talking about Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
Above Gruden, above Tony Dungy. You know what I mean? I would put him up there.
And interestingly enough, that you say this about Todd Bowles, I believe that, when Todd Bowles was in New York, he didn't have all the tools that he at his disposal to have a competitive team. I think he had worked on building up that defense, but general manager's an idiot and the owner's an idiot. I mean, there's not a whole lot you could really do. So I'm glad he's gotten a chance to redeem himself and really do some things. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. Peter Blake says 11 wins. Peter Blake, I'm definitely right there with you. Saints fans need to go through a table. I was thinking more like Falcons fans, but oh yeah, he's got it down there too. Falcons fans, because you guys know that's my.
He's got to be the most hated and the worst though.
I don't know, man. I guess I go back to like when we came in the division and all these delusional ass Atlanta fans that had, their Super Bowl trophy is empty. It's got like collecting dust since when did they come around? 1968 or something like that. Who the hell knows? But anyway, they just haven't won anything. But
the Orleans were formed in 1966.
But exactly, and they act like they're elite. They're this elite squad, and they've done all this stuff, and all they've done in their existence is underachieve. So there's that. But anyway, let's see here. Gonna take
arrogance equals ignorance.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say it again.
Arrogance equals ignorance. Whenever you're arrogant, you're showing your ignorance.
Exactly. That's a great point. All right, guys, I can't believe it's been an hour and we didn't even get through all the topics, but we've got a couple new beers to add to the list. Will the Brewer, next show, hopefully you'll have a beer for me to add on here and add to the draft, and it'll be greatly appreciated. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys get back to it, man. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your holiday schedules to hang out with us and chop it up about football. You can never go wrong with that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and just check us out. Buccateers, Buck What You Heard. We're putting it all together, man. That's how you do it, man. You come together as an organization and you make it bigger, man. J-Lo, Stunna, thank you guys so much for your words of wisdom and your football knowledge, and you're greatly appreciated. And we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Everybody have a good one. Peace.
Fuck your feelings. Bye.